Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and I have notes about the final hearing. I tried to condense it for you from my 5 pages of notes already on the final hearing. Yes, I am a nerd. I do take all the notes, but hopefully this will help me break down the final hearing for you in a short little bite-sized segment so you didn't have to watch the full bajillion hours of being late. I didn't know that Canton was on Mosey time, but they are on Mosey time. Add an additional 20 minutes to anything that Bev says. I had forgotten that about the Karen Reed trial. That being said, first impressions from someone who hasn't been deeply entrenched in the Karen Reed case and also wants to kind of keep an open mind. Do I believe that the state proved their case in the first trial? No, I do not. But I'm willing to see what any new evidence is and be swayed like most normal trials. So here I'm going to kind of try to, call balls and strikes. So the final hearing started out with Attorney Little. Now, I will say that the difference between her voice now and her voice in the first trial, she is much more confident. There is still that quaver, that shakiness in the voice, but it is definitely a billion times better than the first trial. I think she's really come into her own. And honest to goodness, I would be nervous as heck if I was in the Karen Reed trial, doing lawyery stuff because there are so many eyes on me. That being said, the first motion was about the defense being able to get a forensic, analysis of the inverted, Sally Port video. Now, according to the defense, they had put in a motion and asked, the state police not to download any of the Sally Port videos because it could alter or destroy metadata. Now, this is computer magicy stuff. I don't really understand it, but Attorney Little did argue her point quite well. The state attorney, Mr. Brennan, Ichabod Crane, basically said that you could bring your forensic person in and we will let you do anything. But Attorney Little was more pointing out that the metadata possibly had been destroyed. There was also a motion where the state and or the Commonwealth and the defense were, working on logistics about going to viewings. It was decided that Karen Reed could drive with one defense attorney in a separate car, but the rest of the defense and Commonwealth attorneys would be in the van to make sure that the jury wasn't into any shenanigans. Now, there was a motion for reconsideration of voir dire for Dr. Crosby. There was a lot of talk about, again, the science of the dog bite mold and the evidence that the Commonwealth is going to provide. Now, bite mark evidence has been thoroughly kind of not debunked, but it is not as precise as one would lead you to believe if you followed the Ted Bundy case. It is subjective, just like tool marks and ballistics and things like that. So there is a human element along with the variables of, was the arm moving, where was the dog, where was the placement. There are so many variables that really just taking a mold. And the defense even pointed out that per the sort of protocols that these bite experts are supposed to use, the state's expert did not use an overlay. So while he had the mold, he didn't use an overlay to try to put that, bite mark over any wounds that he was going to be testifying about. Now, because the Association for Scientists has basically said that this is not a precise science and needs to be, handled as such, uh, bite mark evidence has been challenged in several courts. So basically, Bev said, I don't think that you can use this for inclusion or exclusion. Basically, the Commonwealth was trying to have its cake and eat it too. Because it's not a direct science and they couldn't include it, they were also trying to fight and say they could exclude it definitively. Now, because this is not an exact science, there is no way to 100% exclude something or include it. You can say it is more likely than, or it has characteristics that are similar to, but you can't do a forensic dog bite analysis. So it was a little bit, iffy there. Then we had the state would like text messages between Karen Reed and John O'Keefe to be read by someone, either a plainclothes police officer or something like that, but no one in the police uniform. They want to possibly get a male and a female. And the defense has been arguing that, the jury can read the text messages. There is a lot, of inflection that could be placed on, the statements by the readers, even if they were trying to be monotone, that could add inflection that was not in the text. I mean, if you're in a relation dateship, you know that text messaging can go terribly wrong. Elon Musk, a sarcasm font, if you please. Now, the next thing they kind of went on to was Bev was asking to have any visual aids that would be used for opening statement to be reviewed by both sides and also her, because while both sides might agree to these, visual aids, she still needs to approve them. Now, the state said that they were going to use one interview clip, extrajudicial statement. The defense didn't have a problem with that, and the defense stated that they were only going to have one picture that they were going to use. The big fireworks happened over the ARCA witnesses. The Commonwealth is claiming that this is trial by ambush, that they haven't gotten anything. While I think Alan Jackson did argue quite well that, all the information that they have basically are using in testimony has all been in the report that the Commonwealth has had access to just as long as the state. Now, there does seem to be some continuing testing that is going on, and the state does seem very nervous about that, or at least with all of the opposition they have. And kind of the stink that the prosecutor made. I mean, he acted like a petulant 14-year-old who was told they couldn't have a Limp Bizkit t-shirt from Hot Topic. Uh, Borderline, disrespectful in a courtroom, if you ask me. Very petulant, raising his voice, talking about how he had anticipated this strategery and everything. Now, that being said, even Bev kind of showcased that I don't know where she is, but she kept asking the defense to clearly delineate what each doctor did in the ARCA project. But if you go back to the testimonies, the doctors both clearly delineate what it was that they worked on, for ARCA, for this particular case. So it does worry me a little bit that Bev wasn't paying attention and that, again, uh, it looks like the Commonwealth is trying anything and everything to get the ARCA witnesses out of this. That being said, the state is continuing to allude, allege, and insinuate that the defense had some sort of shenanigans of nefariousness going on, and they want all the text messages, all the email, all the work product. Now, defense has said that they have sent everything over. They have, done everything. The Commonwealth did have a delineated list of 13 things. However, Brennan couldn't remember any of them when he was asked specifically what he had not gotten. Now, again, I am trying to go into this completely objectively, but Bev did seem to be a little bit more open to anything that the defense said today. Now, probably the fireworks, part 2 was that, Turtle Boy, basically his lawyer had to show up and the Commonwealth was wanting to put him on the witness list, therefore sequester him and, make him so he couldn't watch the trial, interact with anything, things like that. Now, when asked, Brennan went squirmy worm tongue and was like, well, I need to see if he's going to be rebuttal and all this. Now, the state has listed Mr. Turney as a, witness in their case in chief. So I don't know why he would be a rebuttal witness at that point. I'm not a lawyer though. So take whatever I say about, procedural stuff with a grain of salt. That being said, Mr. Tierney's lawyer did a wonderful job basically saying that, if you call my client up, he will plead the fifth and, basically rendering him useless as a witness. Now, there did seem to be some shenanigans afoot. Again, I will just report these and let you guys know. It did appear that, Aiden got a very late sort of notification that he was required in court. Had he not been there, he might not have been able to testify in a sort of sidebar with Judge Bev and his lawyer that he was going to plead the fifth. So, you know, tinfoil hattery, it does seem like the state kind of was hoping that Aiden wouldn't be able to do this so they could keep kind of this farce of him being a witness and blocking his possible media coverage. But that's basically what happened. There were some fireworks. I can genuinely say that I am not much more impressed with Brennan than I was Lolly. I think that he just I don't foresee the case being any more streamlined. I don't foresee the case being any easier to understand for the jury. And with his sort of pedantic, whiny child martyr thing, I do think that that is going to grate on the jury if he continues to want to have the last word. There is not. When I was watching the hearing, there wasn't one, thing that he didn't have to respond and respond and respond to. So, that being said, that's where I stand right now. That is the hearing. I did take 7 notes or 7 pages worth of notes. I do intend to be fully engaged in this trial and, really give you my opinions and just what I think. I'm not a lawyerologist though, but, we all have our own innate wisdom. Thank you guys for sharing your time with me. Please do all the YouTubey things, the like, the subscribe, all that jazz. Again, thank you for sharing your time with me. And remember, guys, wherever you go today, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because kindness no longer equals doormats. Bye, my lovelies.